All right, everybody, I'm going to call the Technology Committee today for Tuesday, November 19th to order. Can I please get a roll call?
You.
Here.
Berlin.
Here.
Cahill.
Here.
Carrier. Here. Eckhoff.
Here.
Galassi. Guston.
Here.
Henry.
Here.
Jorgensen. Edmerick.
Here.
Rutledge.
Here.
White. We have one.
Great. So to start, I just want to thank Vice Chair Eckhoff for standing in for me at the last Technology Committee while I was still in recovery.
That's all I can tell you. Very difficult.
Second, I just wanted to let you guys know that at the very end of our meeting, we're going to be having a GIS application presentation from Tom Ricker, as well as I would like to welcome Diana Hightower from the Family Violence Coordinating Council. Hi, Diana. And she's also going to be presenting on the domestic violence QR code today. So without further ado, is there any public comments?
No.
Okay, great. So can I get a motion to approve the minutes 24-2997?
So moved.
Technology Committee regular meeting Tuesday, November 5, 2024. I received a motion and a second. Any discussion or changes to these minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes. Procurement requisitions, can I get a motion for TEP 22-24, recommendation for the approval of contract purchase order to Carasoft Technology Corporation to provide e-server support, diagnostic resolve software licensing for IT the period of December 1, 2024 through November 30, 2025 for a contract total amount of $81,766.44. And I think I received a motion from Member Rutledge and a second from Member Guston. Thank you. Any discussion with regard to this item? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes. Can I get a motion for TEP 23-24, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to SHI International Corp. for an enterprise term lease agreement with Adobe Systems, Inc. for Adobe software licensing for use by DuPage County and the Forest Reserve District of DuPage County. This contract covers the period of December 10, 2024 through December 9, 2025 for IT for a contract total of $142,076.84. And the Forest Reserve will be charged back for the portion of this purchase.
Second.
I did receive a motion and a second. Thank you. Any discussion with regard to this item? Any comment?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So committee just wanted you all to know that this is, every year we split this cost with the Forest Reserve of DuPage County. We have more competitive rates than they have on their contracts, so they take advantage of a few of our contracts. This is one of them. 41,000 of the 142 is paid for by the Forest Reserve, and the 101 is for DuPage County, which is actually great for a organization of our size. So,
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes. Thank you. Moving on to 6C, can I get a motion for TEP 24-24, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Imaging Systems, Inc., doing business as Integrated Document Technologies for the annual Highland and CAPSIS software assurance, maintenance of imaging systems for supervisor of assessments, treasurer, family center, coroner, and county clerk paid for by IT for the period of January 1, 2025 through December 31, 2027 for a contract total amount of $327,930.81. I did hear a motion and a second from Member Rutledge. Thank you. Any discussion with regard to this item? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes. And finally, with regard to procurement, can I get a motion for TEP 25-24, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to CDWG. The procurement of new Palo Alto firewall devices for the DuPage County network for IT for the period of 1 year upon approval for a total contract amount of $78,847.27.
Second.
Thank you for the motion and the second. Any questions with regard to 6D? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes. So with regard to informational items, can I get a motion to receive and place on file 7A 243084 Logicalis, decreasing in the amount of $18,276.91, 24-3085 Level 3 Financing Inc. This purchase order is decreasing the amount of $70,721.04. JPS CO 12-24, amendment to purchase order issued to Journal Technologies for case management system to increase funds in the amount of $14,600. For JPS CO 13-24, recommendation for the approval of an amendment to contract purchase order issued to Conference Technologies in the amount of $4,840. JPSP 40-24, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Concisys Corporation for professional software services for a total amount not to exceed $4.4 million. And JPSP 42-24, awarding resolution issued to Journal Technologies for case management and monthly storage costs for a total amount of $245,240. And finally, for 24-3010, recommendation for the approval of contract issued to Carousel Technology Corporation to provide 5 Open Roads Designer Select License Renewal subscriptions for a total amount not to exceed $16,210.
So moved. Second.
Thank you for the motion and for the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. So now we are moving on to our presentations, and that was a really long agenda, actually longer than I thought it was going to be. Okay, so I would love to have Tom Ricker. Where's Tom? There you are. Tom, do you want to, I don't know, do you want to speak from there? Do you want to come up?
I think Tom is second, but
Yeah.
we want to.
Actually, we're going to have Tom first.
Oh,
and
okay,
then
and have- okay,
Diana.
that's
So, because he's going to go directly into the domestic violence, and then Diana will follow
Okay,
and down.
perfect.
Oh, no, we decided that kind of last minute.
No problem. Okay, all right. So,
Do you want to sit? What we said down?
Oh, yeah, we're going to take 15.
what you
Hi, Tom. Hi.
Okay, well, thank you for allowing me to present today. I'm going to kind of go through GIS division, the applications that we support, the data that we provide, the services also that we provide through the county. You're not aware, we are funded by the GS recording fee. There's a $20 fee, $21 fee. 20 of that dollar goes directly to GIS. The other one goes to the recorder for administering the fee. We have a team members of 17 members, geospatial team members, and there's some of the various departments that we support geospatial services with. Some of the data that we shared, and I'll get into more details this as we move along, parcel data and land records data. We share this to almost all the municipalities. Also contour and elevation data, we supply them, and aerial imagery. A lot of this services can be very costly to these municipalities, so it's no problem for us to share that information. And it's a lot easier now with web and cloud-based services to do that. Some of the shared services that we have, DuPage County Forest Preserve, Lyle, Woodridge, we've done in the past, fire protection districts, and the others that you see there. How do you access the data? Very simple. If you go to the county website, if you scroll down to the Open and Transparency Government portal, you'll go to the map portal, and that is this here. As that opens up, you can scroll down and you can have access to these multiple applications that are available. Land records, and I'll go through kind of briefly through some of these applications. So one-stop channel, you can go to any one of these panels, click on it, and it'll open up that application, providing you the apps and the data itself. Land records. Here's some of the applications we support with land records. On the upper left is Parcel Viewer. That is our most used application out of everything. That has parcel information, data that's available. It's updated weekly. So as we do splits, that's updated there. It pulls information on a weekly basis from the Tyler tax system. So it's constantly being updated once a week with that information. To the right is a parcel district lookup. You can type in an address or place anywhere on the map. It'll provide you what political district that you're in, what school district you're in, and what taxing district you're in. Of course, base station, and then tax map lookup. That's a hard copy map that still some people want the actual hard copy maps. They can print off a PDF from that application. Transportation, up there, citizen reporter, that's a crowdsource application. So if there's a pothole or a signal that's out, citizens can report that. It goes into DOT to fix the issue, and then they get an actual email back as well. Road jurisdictions, a lot of different road jurisdictions in the county between tollway, DOT, county, municipal, the various 39 municipals that are in the county, and the 9 townships. So that's an application. You can actually see what road jurisdiction that road follows under. Trail application, and then our winter weather solution. This is that tracks the snow plows. So if you go here, you'll be able to see here, this is a one from last year. So this is brought up when a snow event happens. We're pulling live information from the snow plows, real time, through a program we called, that's a live program that we have. What it does is it looks at the trucks. It gives you if it's plow up and down, if it's dropping salt, the temperature. We're also got a calculation in to see how much tracking we're dropping during an event, so we can actually budget better for salt distribution. Stormwater, again, citizen reporter, you're going to see that. That's used by a lot of various different departments. The stormwater profile, and the other one is a grant application. This is called a story map application that kind of tells a story, but with a geographic sense to it. Health department, again, the citizen reporter app there, we track bird deaths with them. We also do West Nile as well. The opioid awareness dashboard, or excuse me, that hub site that we have that provides opioid, the deaths that occur with opioid, but also the saves with the Narcan that's distributed throughout the county. Also, we have what is a social vulnerable SVI, the social vulnerability index. This is from the CDC. This is actually a layer that we bring in from the federal government. So we're able now through cloud services to, instead of grabbing data and downloading, we just pull in a map that this health department can use from the CDC itself. Homeland Security, Office Management, damage assessment. This is an application that we deploy once say a tornado goes through. This application we did about it last year, a year before, with an Addison. The governor declared a state of emergency for an Addison tornado. We had it up that morning. We had the data being brought in by about 1 o'clock noon, and we had it downloaded to the state by 4 o'clock that same day. So that's all real-time data, photos, and applications. Community services, again, various applications, food pantry locations, census, the demographic data with additional what we call an infographics page that really breaks down the data. The other one to the right is we're going to deploy probably with another month. There's a one night that they do homeless counts. We have an application that's called Survey 123. They go out in the evening and provide and obtain that information from the homeless count. Police transparency. This is the crime application portal that we have. We've got a daily activity dashboard for officers, a crime reduction solution that looks at a 3-year average of crime and indicates if a crime has spiked or not, looking at that 3-year average. Some other departments, coroner data, the investigative data is from the coroner's office. We provide a dashboard and mapping application for that. The one to the lower right, and that is from WorkNet DuPage. That's kind of like that demographic we won, but it's also just focusing in on employment information. So transportation, if you see, again, there's that infographics page, but with this infographic page, it tells you how many employers are within that census block, but then breaks it down by the type of employment, as you see there on that one bar graph. some of the shared data that we have, open data. All our data that we have is available. People can download it. So parcel information, taxing district information, they can go to our open data site, type in a search keyword and download that information in various formats from the Esri format, but also the Google format as well. Eagle View Connect, that is our aerial photography. We share that also with municipalities. The two type of photography that we have is ortho, that's the straight up and down that you see, but also the oblique. And the oblique is the side of the building that you can walk around and see that various left, right, or excuse me, north, south, east, west of the building. And you can measure the height of the building. There's that intelligence to that application and data as well. Other shared services we provide, cadastral parcel information, again, the imagery, also the elevation information that we supply. That's all available to municipalities. So if you know of any municipality that's looking for that information, they can contact our office and we can give them connection to that information and share that information out. The obliques, or excuse me, the imagery will be doing this spring. We're doing a flight this spring. Some of the shared services, the Forest Reserve, again, that the Citizen Reporter app, we do shared services with them. So if there's any vandalism that's on a Forest Reserve, they can do that. We did a trails and activity application for them as well. Some new projects that we have. The machine learning is one that we're doing. We're teaching the computer to actually look at the aerial photography, actually pull out buildings and actually draw the building itself. We're teaching the computer to actually do that. So it'll see change detection. It'll scan the imagery. It'll learn that, hey, that's a building, that's a house. It'll actually draw the house. So we're slowly have models and we're teaching the computer to do that as well. Flood simulation. This is one here. If you look at it here where we can bring in the elevation data as you see there, we can overlay the imagery on it. We can plug in the rain. So if you'll see there, if you go here, you'll kind of see the raindrops coming down. And you'll actually see the flood happening. So I'm going to speed it up.
That's cool.
And actually, you can go into those flood areas, type in, it'll tell you how much water is that in that amount of time. So that's another thing that we're working on as well. Again, some other projects, native pollination habitat we're looking at. We're looking at areas that we can improve natural habitats for pollinating habitats for butterflies. We're working with Stormwater, has some data. We've got some outside data. We're looking at where those gaps are as well. Also, we have is the domestic battery application, which I'm going to open up here and kind of demonstrate that.
I think it's really great that on issues that we particularly care about, like Member Evans and the pollinator application, and then for myself for domestic violence, I really wanted to have Tom take a look at what is out there that's happening, dating back several years to present time about how much domestic violence is happening in the county per each district. So I'm really excited about this as well.
So what we did with this, we took the application from the RMS system, brought it into the GIS. What we did is was called geocoding. So we look at the locations and put those points on the map itself. From this, what we've done here is taken census tract data, okay, and we kind of captured those points within each census tract, which gives us these round circles, so you can see the areas of high domestic violence. We also started looking at, let's look at different demographic indicators. So what we have here is renter occupied housing. We looked at, that was one of the high indicators of it, is looking at those areas, and we're looking, why was that? So we looked at high dense areas of living, very dense areas. That's one indicator, because there's more people there. That is that. So you look at some of these census tracts, you'll have, say, an industrial area, and then over to the right, you may have an apartment complex. So you can focus in on those areas. Also, we placed in here different that don't speak English, different languages. So from there, we can look at, okay, here's an area that is has high domestic violence. Let's look at, okay, that they don't speak English. Then we can put in, say, another layer and look at the population. So then we can start pinpointing, okay, what language do we need to put, folks in there to communicate and to bring down that reduction. So a lot of different demographics data that we can bring in and overlay and start looking at where those areas that we need to focus in on geographically, as opposed to, again, just a table that's out there and trying to sort through all that. We're taking those tables, we're mapping it and starting looking and pinpointing. So now you can take those resources and put them where they need to go, and special resources of where they need to go. The
Yeah,
other one,
Go ahead.
the other one here is a hotspot. So this is a time indicator one. Data here. So it's all the information. We've got a graph here for each county board district. You can pause it and you can set the date here. So I'm gonna say for a year. Okay, and if I want to move this and see how the changes happened throughout the years, I can do that. Just by sliding that. So you can see the movement of where those clusters are. So you can break it down by a month, by 6 months, so you can take that slider and move it as well. If I want to see a certain district, say District 4, I can go here in the application, it'll highlight just those in District 4, and then I can set my time parameter and see how it changes. So if I go here, let's do it for. So there, you can see as we move along, say through 6 months here, you can see how it kind of shifts. And you see the number here is count. So you can see how numbers have dropped in certain geographic areas and over time for that.
and I think this application will be particularly applicable to domestic violence agencies when they're trying to determine where, they should be putting resources, what kind of resources are necessary, what can we improve upon, that kind of thing. So really, really thankful for Tom and Tamara, who also worked on this extensively. And I really wanted to kind of marry this domestic violence and technology with what Tom was doing, with what Diana from Family Violence Coordinating Council has been doing in coordinating efforts to prevent domestic violence and serve domestic violence survivors. But just before we move on to Diana, any questions for Tom
That'll
before we
be
move
after
on?
too, if you want, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, all right. Okay, thank you. All right, so Diana, thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
I'm Diana Hightower. Thank you for having me here. I'm the coordinator for the Family Violence Coordinating Council. And I just wanted to share a little bit about the QR code initiative that we have launched. I don't know if we want to, we can move on to a couple slides.
Oh, yeah, moving on. Who is controlling? this? Is
It's
it
Joe.
Yes.
So the next slide.
Yeah,
So just say
okay, so next slide. The Family Violence Coordinating Council, for those of you who might not know, we are a collaboration of the courts, law enforcement, advocacy groups, and other organizations, which really just seek to improve the system's response as a whole to domestic violence. And you can see there on the screen, those are some of our community partners throughout DuPage County. We are chaired by Judge Anne Celine Walsh. You can go ahead to the next slide. The goal of our initiative, which really started back in 2022, and it took us about a year to actually get it launched. It was to help victims of domestic violence just quickly and safely access a list of critical information on domestic violence and other services that they may need. We found that the QR code was really innovative, and it it's big now. It's everywhere. QR code is very recognizable. So when somebody sees QR code, they more or less know what to do with it. So it's getting that information out there quicker. You go to the next
We
slide.
won how many awards for this?
We
2, 3?
we do have two separate QR codes. So the top one is what I call the law enforcement QR code. This QR code is specific for law enforcement use. So when they go on to a domestic battery call, whether it's arrest or non-arrest, they give this, and it's in a form of a business card. They give this QR code business card to victims for them to use. And that was launched for law enforcement use in March of 2023. And what we found is the information that we are giving to victims and survivors of domestic violence is really comprehensive. It took a lot of collaborative effort to put all of the information together, and we thought this would be beneficial for the general public to have. So whether you might know somebody who's affected by domestic violence, or you yourself might be affected by domestic violence, you can just go into a public place and see this QR code. So that is what the public QR code is, and that was launched March of this year. Go on to the next slide. And again, the law enforcement QR code, it just replaces the paper version of what victims were previously given, and it has a disguised website. So that's the biggest difference between the two. Ultimately, the person is receiving the same information and resources on domestic violence. It's just one has an extra layer for them to go through for privacy reasons. Go on. And then you could go ahead to the next slide as well. Okay. So our efforts to get the public QR code, again, the goal is to get this out to as many survivors or their loved ones as possible. We have reached, as of right now, so for the past 6 months, over 100 organizations that we are in, and that includes, the courts and county campuses, police department lobbies, and their social workers are using the QR code as well. We are in hospitals and doctors' offices, so if they suspect someone has been abused, they will put the QR code on their discharge papers. We have a variety of ways. So we have PDFs that can be used electronically to reach this website, or other sizes. So postcards, rat cards, which are the longer pamphlets, and posters that can be posted. Go on, please. So what I want to talk about is kind of the views. So we are looking at page views. So since this has been launched, how many page views how many views has this QR code received? For the law enforcement QR code, and again, this is going to be kind of a smaller demographic that is receiving this, because it is only from law enforcement to somebody who has reported a domestic violence incident versus the public. This QR code has received 6,080 page views, whereas the public QR code in just the last 6 months has received 7,766. So just in 6 months, we've reached a large number of views. And the reason why we're looking at views versus like unique users or visits is because it's okay if somebody's viewing the page more often. They might get interrupted when they're looking at it and then go back to it later. So we just want to see how often is it being viewed. Right, go on to the next slide. So this one is for the Meditate website, which is a law enforcement QR code. You see the breakdown of how many views it has had since its launch. So again, it was launched in March of 2023. But really what that was is we held a press conference about it to get this out there. Then we had to distribute it to all the police departments of DuPage County, get the police officers trained, and then really you could see the spike of when it started to be used in May. So in May it reached, and I think that was the largest month, it received 528 views. And then really it's pretty much kind of consistent between 200 and 300 views per month. And again, this is just a law enforcement QR code. Next one. And this is the public QR code. So March is when we really did our first push to the community and tried to get this out to all of the organizations that we thought might see the most survivors. And we started off, so March, 913 views, and then it just kind of increased. Then July of this year, we did another kind of big push to get more of the material out there. And so you see a spike in views there. So the July had 1,367, in August, 1,354 views, September, 1,265. Please go on. Within the DV resources page, it has different tabs. So the first main page is the information for victims of domestic violence. And this is kind of like those immediate needs. So immediate shelter, the hotline, state's attorneys, information about orders of protection. So that received, and this is just in the last 3 months, it has received 2,102 views. And then we have a couple other tabs. So protecting victims of domestic violence, that's really where they get the information about the state's attorney's office, and protective orders, the victim's bills of right. That has been viewed 1,265 times. And then the DuPage resources for domestic violence. So that is basically just all the resources in a list form, not necessarily the questions. And so that has been also viewed 387 times. And then the YWCA is sexual assault services. So that has also been viewed 3 times as well. Thank you. And we have received a couple of awards for this, which we're really, proud of the collaboration between IT and all of our community partners to put this together, launch it. And really our job is we're trying to right now get this out into the public to see how much can we provide this information to survivors that are domestic violence. And I think what you were talking about would be really beneficial if we could see where domestic violence is being reported the most or where it's happening the most, and we can target our efforts in putting resources in or organizations or hair salons, just any place that has a public viewing that can be seen. It'd be great to get that information there, maybe target some of those areas a little bit more. You can go on to the next slide. And really what the council has done, and we've kind of been it's really been us just kind of pushing this through email and our networks. We have a short video that the judges explaining what the QR code is and how organizations can use this. And then we have an order form that I created, just a Google Forms, to where if a place wants to have some of this material, how can they get it? They just order it through this form, and then either they can come pick it up from my office, or me or someone on the council can take the material over there. So our biggest effort is, where can we put this information, put these resources that does not already have it in DuPage County.
Thank you so much, Diana. Any,
Go ahead.
No, just saying thank you.
any questions for Diana? Yes, go ahead. Councilmember
I
Rossi.
appreciate why you wanted I think it was like in the last 6 months, like 7,776, I think was the number. Views. Are you also tracking unique views? Or is there?
So I found the unique views, and so I do get that information too, but kind of what we just want to see, like, how much is it being viewed in general, but we do get that information, and I just haven't really put that together, but we get it month by month. I received the public QR code information quarterly, but by month. And I think it's something that I can ask specifically the IT department if we can get like the unique users, but I do see that information too. But what we've been looking at as a council is just kind of the page views.
I just think that would be helpful, just to understand like how many unique people are, I think both are important. I understand why you're tracking what you're tracking, but I think understanding how many, unique individuals are accessing.
That data is available. So,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
available.
some of the data that we see, the page views, but also page visits, which is, how many views per like 30 minutes or something. Also the bounce rate and then unique visits as well.
Yes.
So I see that one of your partners is the DuPage County State's Attorney's Office. So I know that there's a lot of cases up before in this area. Are the victims people associated with the cases aware of the QR code?
Yeah, so they are receiving the QR code in many different ways. So initially, if they're going through a police department, they're gonna get the Meditate business card QR code first. And then also the state's attorney, when I believe their victim advocates reach out to all victims, and the QR code is on that
Just wanna
packet
make
as
sure,
well.
yep.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
yes.
just also want to recognize WDC and Rhonda Breyer specifically from Web Services. They helped create the code and the website, and Joe Hamlin helped coordinate a lot at the beginning of this project. So
Yeah.
it's great to work with you folks.
Yeah, I love the fact that we have this collaboration with IT and FBCC, so we can really do things together, so it's great. Any other questions for Tom or Diane? Yes, Member Rutledge.
Thanks, Chair. Quick question. You talked about bird deaths. Is that like West Nile
Yeah.
virus or like building strikes?
No, that's West
Just
Nile.
West
virus.
Nile. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
we both, yeah, West Nile, and with that is probably the grossest app that ever developed. It's for ticks. So people can actually
Yeah,
identify
no.
ticks and where ticks are being, so that goes to the health department as well.
Okay.
One comment before you wrap up, Chair. So for the board members, just wanted to remind you that Tom presented this at our municipal technology roundtable. So the mayors and managers were able to see these things or the tech designees. They loved it. So that we had a lot of questions, a lot of inquiries afterwards. So you may hear those inquiries
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
GIS solutions.
There's so much information at our fingertips. With
Yeah,
this.
and just, like I said, probably 90 to 89% of information that comes into a government building has to do something geospatially. So if you see any kind of data and you want it mapped, come ask, because there's a lot of stuff we can do. And if you want, well, I want to keep it kind of show it to the public, but I want to have more detail in the back office. Just like we said, there's a lot of different things we can do with the map by being the density circles and then having them turn off when you zoom in to a certain, so you're not getting that much detail. We can have that data turned off, say on the neighborhood level. So you can get the general sense of what the map is happening, where those areas are in the county, but you want it, and you want the public to see that as well. There's a lot of different options we can do program wise with the applications that we develop and those mapping applications.
Member Johnson?
Well, that leads exactly to the question I had, because I remember at a previous presentation you gave, you had said there were certain applications that we had to like purchase credits to use. And so that they were kind of for like an internal county use to do those
Yeah,
things.
that's
And so I was wondering how much of what you were
the
showing.
RGS online, we now have what is called Enterprise, and that's an internal one.
Right.
And now we can start, we have that, we're slowly porting some of those those internal applications inside, so you'll be able to eventually log on, just like you normally do, go to the Enterprise and have all that information available.
But for some of the stuff you're showing too, is that still for like internal county department use as opposed to like a public facing?
So that was all public facing.
Yeah, most of that was all.
Most of that was public facing,
Yeah,
not
if there's an
the-
application
Almost all
that
of
you
them.
didn't
Okay,
see there,
that's-
and if it's, let me know, because some of them, you have to log in.
Yeah,
you
that was
know.
my question.
But I
How
think
much of that
what
was
Adam's
public
also
facing?
asking is the licensing. So we have the ability to, there's different levels.
Right.
We have the ability to give the public access to it, but they can't drill down and get
Sure.
the same level of detail
Right.
as our internal user accounts where that's where the licensing comes in.
But most of what you were showing were like
For the
searches, the public facing
Yeah,
users.
the
Okay,
public
that was my
facing, yeah,
question.
most of those are. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you so much to our presenters. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? All right, without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.